So in this video, we'll try to understand what is software testing. So software testing is nothing but testing is a process where we can find the errors in the application before it is delivered to the customer. So testing is usually done by the developers or some group of the people known as the testers. So it begins at component level and it goes towards the integration of the system. So what is verification and validation? So verification is like, are you building a product rightly? So it ensures that the system meets all the functionality specified. So here we try to see that the behavior is matching or not, and we are trying to build the product right, the right product. So this is done by the testers. So there is a difference between the verification and the validation. So what is the difference between testing and debugging? So testing involves some group of the people and it is like identification of some bug or error. So without correcting it, we try to identify the bug, and the debugging is like correcting those errors, whatever has happened. So this is called as the debugging. So this is the difference between testing and the debugging. So what is automatic testing? So automatic testing is a process where we try to automize without using any human power. We try to do that by using some code or scripts. So this is also called as test automation, and can test the application from load, performance and the stress point of view. So increases the test coverage and improves the helps to save the time also. So accuracy is also improved. So manual testing is opposite to that of the automation, and here it is like we try to take the role of the user and test for the application for any bugs are there. So manually we try to do that by using some people known as testers, and there are different type of manual testing such as unit testing, integration testing, as well as the user acceptance testing. So what are the different type of testing methods? We have white box, black box and the gray box. So white box is like with knowing all the internal logic and the structure of the code, we try to test. So that is called as the white box testing. So here the testers have all the knowledge of the internal logic and the structure of the code. So this is called as the white box testing, and black box is like without having any knowledge, we try to test the application. We don't know what is the logic here and what is the structure of the code, and still we are able to test the application. So this is called as the black box testing. And the gray box is like it is like having testers have some knowledge but not complete knowledge about the internal logic and structure. He has some limited knowledge. So this is called as the gray box testing. So what is the functionality testing? So functionality testing is nothing but to validate the system complements to the requirement, whether the system is following all the requirements. It conforms to all the requirements. So application is tested by providing the input, and then the results are examined that needs to confirm its to functionality it is intended for. So here what you are doing is to try to provide certain inputs, and the results are examined then that need to confirm its functionality it is intended for. So this is called as the functionality testing. So unit testing is nothing but it is done by the developers, and here what you are doing is we are trying to divide the application into modules, different units, and we try to see that we try to test the different modules and try to see whether it is working properly or not. So this is called as the unit testing. So integration testing is nothing but we try to combine all the modules, make one big module and try to integrate, try to test that particular thing. So this is called as the integration testing. We try to integrate all the modules and we try to test. So system testing is nothing but we try to see that all the components of the systems are tested and to see that it meets the quality standards. So enables us to test, verify and validate the business requirements. As whole, all the components of the system are integrated and they are tested. So this is mainly done to see that it meets the quality standards. So regression testing is nothing but any changes in one module should not affect the other modules. So if you try to fix the bug in one module and it should not affect the other modules. So this is where we call it as a regression testing. So we try to see that there is no side effects whenever any fixing of the bug happens. So there is no any side effects. So it can be conducted either manually or using some tools. So acceptance testing is done by the quality assurance team, and to measure whether the application meets the intended specification and client requirements. So whether the application is meeting the client requirement or not. So it can be done in the development environment. So this is called as alpha testing, where we try to test it in the developer environment. So this is called as alpha testing, and it can be done in the client environment also, where the client can test and see whether it is working properly or not. So that is called as the beta testing. Performance testing is where we try to check performance whether it works in all the situations. So we try to provide excess load and we try to see whether it is so this is called as a stress testing, where we try to see whether any performance issues happens when we are testing. Load testing also, where we try to put the behavior, we try to see the behavior whether it is working properly or not. Under the heavy stress we try to see the behavior, so that is called as the load testing. And usability testing is like observing the whether through usage and operation. We try to use and see whether it is having any defects or not. We try to use the product and we try to see whether any errors are happening or like any problems are there. So it can be like measured as the outcome of the interaction with the computer system. So it is like the outcome which comes when we try to interact with the computer system. So security testing is like testing involves the testing of the software in order to flaws in the security. Any security flaws are there, so we try to see those security flaws and we try to test it. So this is called as a security testing. Check for any vulnerability. So many errors are happening, so that we can check. So portability testing is nothing but we can move the software from one architecture to other architecture, or one platform to other platform. We try to see that any errors happen when we try to move to the other platforms. So it can be used from moving from one platform to other platform. So this is called as computer hardware. Can be like changing the hardware or changing the OS or changing the browser is affecting any is causing any errors. So that we try to understand. So this is called as portability testing. So we try to discuss what is test documentation. So we have test plan, test scenario, test case, and the traceability matrix. So let us try to understand what is a test plan. So test plan is nothing but we try to test an application resource. Test environment will be performed, limitation of testing and schedule of the testing activity. So there is a strategy where we try to test an application resource and the testing environment will be performed, limitation of the testing, and we try to see what is the schedule of testing activity. All these things we decide. In the test plan we are deciding everything, like what environment and what is the limitation, what is the schedule, and the quality assurance team will be responsible for writing the test plan. So once this is the first step we try to follow, we try to write the test plan here. After writing test plan, we go for the test scenarios, where we try to different scenarios we are trying to design, like different type of environments, different operating system, or like different type of architectures, where we try to test the application and ensures that the process flows are tested from end to end, and there can be more than one test scenarios. I can have hundreds of test scenarios or can have thousands of test scenarios for a single application. So this is called as the test scenario. And test cases are like, we can see like there are 4 test cases, and we try to get the input and what is expected output, what is actual output. So all these like remarks are also written here. So what is the remarks we are getting passed. So all these cases are passed now. So this we can have hundreds of test cases where we will try to see like whether it is giving the proper output for all the inputs. So involves the set of steps, condition, and the inputs which can be done while performing the task. The main purpose of these activities is to ensure that whether the software passes or fails in terms of functionality and the other purpose. So here the main purpose of this activity is to ensure that whether software fails or it passes in terms of functionality and the other aspects. What is the traceability matrix? We have a set of requirements and we have a set of test cases. This is called as the traceability matrix, and it is able to trace the requirement during the software development life cycle. So it can be used either for forward or backward. So you can say like a requirement these are the requirements that are testing. For requirement 1, test case 1 and the test case 4 are tested. For requirement 2, the test case 1 and test case 3 are tested. So this is called a requirement traceability. We try to see that whether it passes, it meets all the requirement that has been, the test cases are designed as such that all the requirements are satisfied. So this is the use of the traceability matrix. So this is what I have discussed in this video. Thanks for watching.